The Minnesota Vikings are one of the more polarizing teams heading into the 2025 season. Last year was something similar. They didn't have the quarterback. It was Sam Darnold, JJ McCarthy, and once McCarthy went down, people were concerned about this team heading into last year. Ultimately, they balled out, went 14-3, made the playoffs, got Sam Darnold a bag, not with them, but another team, and the Vikings are poised for another big season or potentially a season where a lot of people are going to predict them to miss the playoffs. I'm going to break down the entire Vikings offseason moves in this video, break down their tough schedule ahead, and see if this Minnesota Vikings team has enough to return to the postseason and potentially take the North this year. So let's hop right into this video. So the Minnesota Vikings, we all know that JJ McCarthy is going to be taking over as QB1 this season for the team. McCarthy is an unbelievable talent at the quarterback position. He really showed out in the preseason last year, and a lot of people were looking forward to his debut. McCarthy's a player that plays within stride very well, does have some elite improvisation ability and rushing abilities that can provide a new swing on things for the Minnesota Vikings. So I want to hop into the JJ McCarthy tape and break down why this guy is the quarterback one for the Vikings going forward. Hopping into what McCarthy can do on the field, this is a perfect example of why he fits so well in Minnesota. You're going to watch him fire a strike to Colston Loveland here for about 25 yards, across the middle of the field with perfect timing here. McCarthy being able to hit these throws across the middle, perfect timing, clean pocket, just like that. That's exactly what KOC is looking for the Minnesota Vikings. McCarthy doesn't overwhelm us with arm strength and like some of these elite traits we see out of quarterbacks, but he makes really good throws within timing and throws an absolute bullet right to Colston Loveland within stride. If he is able to make plays like this for the Vikings this year, he's going to be unbelievably good and probably just as good as Sam Darnold was this year. We're going to look at the end zone view here and even see how crazy and tight of a window this is. Motions the tight end over. McCarthy makes plays like this, the Vikings are going to be okay. Just a dot right over the linebacker's head and a touchdown. This play right here is beautiful from McCarthy. You're going to see him just step into a pass right here after getting drilled, making a perfect throw. He doesn't flinch under pressure, and that's one of the things I'm more impressed with McCarthy. Now, his running back has to pick this up. Clearly on his running back right here. McCarthy's just going to have to eat this, but he doesn't flinch at all. Makes a really good throw. Gets a completion for a first down. And to be honest, in Kevin O'Connell's scheme, right, if you can stay and make these throws, you're going to have a lot of guys open across the middle of the field. We saw Sam Darnold really struggle last season when he had pressure in his face. He didn't know what to do with the ball, not get it out. McCarthy is completely different in that regard. McCarthy is going to get the ball out. McCarthy is going to find a way to throw the ball away, and this play right here is a good example of that. The thing that people don't talk about a lot with JJ McCarthy is his ability to run with the football. You're going to watch this play right here where he just gets a power sweep, outruns a Penn State defense that has a good amount of draft picks on this team, and he is able to power his way for a first down here. You're going to see the jet motion. At this point, just design run for McCarthy. His speed and his acceleration through the line of scrimmage, finding a hole really quickly is something that nobody really talks about. During his time at Michigan, we saw him run a ton of read options and plays like this. He can provide a different element to the Vikings that we haven't seen with Sam Darnold or Kirk Cousins under center. And with the improved offensive line, it could be a good thing for the Vikings. So after watching the tape, you guys can see McCarthy clearly has it and provides a different type of spin on things compared to what Kirk Cousins and Sam Darnold have brought to this team over the past few seasons. We know that McCarthy, yes, provides this upside stuff, but there's still a lot of question marks as to how he'll perform in the NFL with more passing volume, because in Michigan, he didn't necessarily throw that much. And will his arm talent be a problem in the NFL, making consistent throws down the field? We will see what happens, but ultimately McCarthy is set up well with a coach like Kevin O'Connell, receivers like Justin Jefferson, Jordan Addison, and then other players that I want to talk about right now. The Vikings made a clear investment on the offensive line this past offseason. They added Ryan Kelly, Will Fries, and then Donovan Jackson within the draft. Before that, the offensive line was a mix and match of a bunch of players, so I want to break down kind of what the Minnesota Vikings were dealing with last season. Here's one example of the interior pressure the Minnesota Vikings faced last season. You're going to see Dexter Lawrence lined up here in between the center and the guard in the A-gap. Basically, Sexy Dexy is going to overpower the guard here, pushing him right into the backfield, and it was a common theme for the Minnesota Vikings to allow pressures like this from the interior defensive line last year. And I know Cam Robinson struggled towards the end of the year, but they get Christian Darrisaw back on the outside. The biggest move for them, changing the interior offensive line. Here's another example, this one on the ground game, to where the Chicago Bears make a really good play on the defensive line right here by these two, but the interior offensive line by the Minnesota Vikings is not able to collaborate and make a play. And with a Kevin O'Connell zone running scheme, you have to have linemen who could vertically and horizontally block in this offense in order to have good production here. You're going to see a lot of the time in this past season for the Vikings, these three interior linemen's pad level gets too high horizontally, causing a lot of misses in between there. You see that whiff, and then you see some other guys break free at that point. That happened too many times for the Vikings last year, so some changes were necessary in the interior offensive line. So you guys can clearly see the Minnesota Vikings did not have a great interior offensive line. They needed to address it. They went and brought these three monsters right here. Donovan Jackson, their first-round pick, was a 71.8 graded tackle who likely was not going to fill very well there. They do have, obviously, Christian Darrisaw returning and Brian O'Neill at tackle. Jackson fits more of an interior mold on the offensive line, providing that youth at that position long term. And then in the free agent market, they went out and paid two Indianapolis Colts and Ryan Kelly, who had a 67 grade for PFF last season. And then obviously our boy Will Fries with an 86.9 grade in limited action last year. Both players were incredibly good for the Colts when on the field together and really strong in the run game, something that the Minnesota Vikings needed a little bit more on the interior offensive line to improve the efficiency. I really like where this team is going, though, showcasing that they want to improve their ground game. The interior offensive line, build the trenches around J.J. McCarthy there, which is very, very nice to see. I absolutely love the fact that you build a team around J.J. McCarthy that has veterans like Aaron Jones at running back. You have great talent at the receiver position. Now you have an offensive line that truly has an argument for potentially the best unit in the NFL. And then obviously we know that Kevin O'Connell is an unbelievable coach who basically can make anybody pretty good at quarterback. So that's very exciting. My concerns, though, lie with two things. The schedule is brutal, yes, and the defense is very, very concerning heading into next year. So looking at the schedule here, the Vikings open up in Chicago against the Bears on Monday Night Football. That's going to be a good game. You get the Ben Johnson debut. Obviously, the Vikings have performed very well against the Bears as of late, but it's a division game, not going to be easy. Week 2 against the Falcons should be a game where the Vikings will be favored. Kirk Cousins obviously will be a storyline with him on the bench facing his old team. Week 3 against the Bengals, it'll be a high-scoring affair there. Week 4, Week 5 against the Steelers and Browns should be easier matchups for them. The first 5 weeks don't necessarily look daunting, but I want to take a look at where this bye is placed. We know that they obviously have a lot of travel with Week 4, Week 5 being out of the country. Week 6 bye for a team that has a playoff push is not ideal at all. You have to basically say, I need the 1 seed, or else you're playing 13 straight weeks of football after that bye week. So not ideal there by any means. After that Week 6 bye, though, it gets absolutely brutal for this team. The Philadelphia Eagles at home, then the Chargers on the road on short rest, the Lions on the road, the Ravens. So that 4-week stretch right there, they're facing 4 of the better teams in the NFL. Then you head into a lot more division games. You get the Bears and Packers back-to-back. Then you face the Seahawks. Obviously, we know that Sam Darnold is there. That's going to be a very storied game, and they should be able to take care of business there. Then you face a team in the NFC Championship game in the Commanders. Then you face the Cowboys on Sunday Night Football. Then you got an easier game with the Giants, Lions, Packers. This schedule is absolutely brutal for this team. It's probably one of the, if not the toughest schedule in the NFL, and it definitely has me concerned, despite me absolutely loving where this offense is and heading into this next season. Ultimately, though, the defense, though, is something that I want to talk about. Facing these teams, this defense is definitely going to have some problems. They went out and re-signed Byron Murphy at the cornerback position, but outside of him, they have Isaiah Rodgers slotted in as their cornerback 2 or slot guy, which I don't necessarily love. I do like their combination of pass rushers between Dallas Turner, Greenyard, and then Van Ginkel there. That gives them a solid rotational pass rush. I do not like where they went in the interior defensive line. I think this team is going to really struggle against the run this season with, the Jonathan Allen mixed with Javon Hargrave, who are both power rushers that don't provide a lot in the run game. So it's not necessarily ideal there. So I think defensively, the concerns are real for this team heading into next year. I don't think it's more of a McCarthy could be bad and this could hold the team back. Yes, there are doubts there, but I don't think that's the biggest headline. I think it's the run defense in a tough schedule that could hold this Minnesota Vikings team back. All in all, the Minnesota Vikings are incredibly talented on the offensive side of the ball. We know that Justin Jefferson is one of the best players in the NFL. They went out and addressed their big problems on the interior offensive line, making 3 really good additions. A healthy Christian Darrisaw will help. You bring back Aaron Jones. You got Jordan Mason now in that mix. TJ Hawkinson fully healthy. This offense is loaded with talent, and I really think it'll elevate JJ McCarthy to a consistent option for this team right away in his first full year of starting. That is not my concern. It's the schedule and the defense that really concern me about this Minnesota Vikings team heading into next year. Are they going to be able to stop the run consistently to give their offense a chance to stay in these games with the first-year starting quarterback? It is to be seen. I like this team as a talent. I have them probably at a 10-7 record right now, just looking at it and not going into super detail. What do you guys think? Let me know in the comment section below. Are the Minnesota Vikings going to struggle in 2025, or will they be back in the playoffs? Hit that subscribe button for more Blitz Sports Media content, and I will catch you guys next time.